Is your child a natural-born entertainer? Now is their chance to join the most talented youth dance crew in the Mid-South, the Blue Bunch. The Blue Bunch entertains Grizz Nation with their energetic dance routines and even have the opportunity to collaborate on performances with leading artists in the entertainment industry. Kids ages 7 to 17 are invited to show off their skills and personality for their chance to join the next generation of NBA entertainers. Open auditions are Saturday, June 28th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
With a knockaway. Good defense. Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting. Let's go!
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by OrthoSouth, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. Wallace going to join me, senior editor, Grind City Media. I'll talk all things NBA with him. Mike Wallace in studio in the next segment. Finish talking to him, we're going to take a break. Come back. Do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, the deadline for underclassmen to withdraw from the 2025 NBA draft and return to college. That was last night. Among those who didn't withdraw, Adu Thiero, the son of former Memphis Tiger Almami Thiero. Adu spent last season leading Arkansas in scoring. I'll tell you where his draft range appears to be. We're going to do that in about 40 minutes. Ben Stiller called Pat McAfee, quote, weird. He said weird for calling him out before Game 4 of the Pacers Knicks. You probably saw this in Indianapolis the other night. Ben Stiller courtside, Timothy Chalamet courtside, Spike Lee courtside. Pat McAfee got the microphone, made a big spectacle of it. Ben Stiller was asked about it subsequently. He said, seemed weird to me. I'll give you the full quote. We'll do that in just a bit. Wild story Bennett sent me this morning. Woo! A woman claims she's been suffering from a sinus infection for 7 years because she had an ex-boyfriend who, I don't know how else to say it, farted in her face while she was recovering from surgery.
Oh, wow.
And now she has a sinus infection for 7 years because of a fart to the face. I never heard of such. Me
either.
We'll tell you more about that a little later on in the show. New England Patriots coach Mike Vrabel has said he would prefer, and I think this makes sense, all of his players to make good decisions both on and off the field. And he said this in response to a video going viral of Stefon Diggs handing a pink substance to a woman on a yacht. A lot going on in that description. We'll discuss it in the second hour. And congratulations to Charlie Woods, the 16-year-old son of golf legend Tiger Woods. He won a big tournament on Wednesday. I'll tell you more about that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's Carryout and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with 2 words. Thunder up. Thunder up. Say it with me, Bennett.
No.
2 words. Thunder up. Say it with pride.
I will not.
Thunder up. Because the 2 young, never truly tested Thunder have advanced to the 2025 NBA Finals for the second time since the franchise moved to Oklahoma City back in July 2008. The first time they made it was 2012. Shouts to KD, Russ, Beard. This time, it's the 26-year-old MVP leading the way, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And, buddy, he delivered a blowout knockout punch last night. Final score, OKC 124, Minnesota 94. That's a 30-point win in an elimination game. It was a blowout, as predicted. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he took 25 shots. He made 14 of them. Finished with 34 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. He scored or assisted on 24 of OKC's 26 points in the first quarter. Meantime, Timberwolves scored 9 points in the first quarter. Total. 9 total. 26-9. That was the score after one. 67-32. That was the score at the half. Game over very quickly. First question for you, Big Bet Bennett. Are you finally done howling like an Eastern wolf? Tell me you're done with that nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I was only doing that out of respect for our friend Mike Conley. I never liked it. Like I never enjoyed doing that.
I respect Mike Conley, but I will not howl on his behalf. Not in the face of the 2 young, never truly tested Oklahoma City Thunder.
That was more of an anti-Thunder howl than a pro-Wolves howl.
Either way, it seems silly now. You can acknowledge that. I mean, they got
did get a win last night.
They got smacked out of here. They got smacked out of here in 5 games. Anthony Edwards has gone from being possibly the face of the league to somebody who is getting questioned after every game. Are you doing enough? Are you playing the right way? Are you doing what you need to do to be not just the face of this franchise, but also the face of the league? Because you're getting knocked around in the postseason, just like you did last postseason. One team, your Timberwolves are over there getting questioned, getting humiliated, and Anthony Edwards having to answer some tough questions. Meantime, Thunder up. It's all good stuff. SGA, MVP, Western Conference Finals, all his teammates standing behind him, supporting him. Another interesting post-game interview, and now the Thunder are in the finals, waiting for either the Pacers or the Knicks. Probably the Pacers, given that the Indiana Pacers, are up 3-1 in that series with the closeout game scheduled for later on. It appears it'll be Pacers-Thunder, and the Thunder will be significant favorites in that thing. The 2 young Thunder, without those playoff scars, oh, buddy, that's been the narrative, but it doesn't seem like it's going to matter, barring a surprise. They're going to hold the trophy. Are you willing to say that now? They're going to hold the trophy.
I'm not willing to say it. No, I'm not willing to say it. I'm not. I think that.
How long are you going to put this off? Well,
we're going to see who comes out of the East. I think we both agree it's probably going to be the Pacers at this point. And if it is, then I don't think that's just going to be. It ain't going to be as easy for them as this last series was. I don't think.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I still think that they'll hold the trophy. Yes, I do. But I'm not ready to say that it's like inevitable.
I am not going to sit here and say there's no way Oklahoma City doesn't win this championship, because of course there's a way. The other team has Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam and Rick Carlisle.
Right.
All right. You're always just one unfortunate moment away from a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander turned ankle or a Chet Holmgren hurt wrist or whatever. Like, these things can flip like that. I'm not exaggerating. I turned on ESPN one morning earlier this month, and Jay Williams, who I love, but I'm just telling a story, Jay Williams is on ESPN saying this series is over between Boston and the Knicks, and Boston is going to win it because they figured out what New York is doing. They've gotten back to making the shots that they usually make. Yeah, I know Boston is down 2-1 now, but Boston is about to run away with this series. This series is over. And literally the next game, Jason Tatum suffered a season-ending injury, and turns out not only was the series not over, the team that he thought was going to win it ended up being eliminated by the New York Knicks. So these things can flip in a variety of ways for a variety of reasons. But as we are sitting here right now, the people who have held on to the idea that, yeah, they're great, and they won a lot of games in the regular season, and they blow out more people than anybody's ever blown out people, and they had the biggest point differential in the history of the NBA's regular season. For the people who have said all that but then backed it with, but teams like this don't win championships. You don't go from where they were to holding the trophy without a lot of stuff happening in between.
Yeah.
That is the narrative that has been connected to them by some. You know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Big mouth. You know who they are. Oh, big mouth. That's been the narrative. And I understand it. Like, we've talked about it and joked about it and laughed about it. And he and I were texting about it last night and laughing. But if that's the narrative, I get where it came from. I understand how it originated. I'm not ignorant to the facts. I'm just saying the counterpoint I have been making for a while, you've been sitting here hearing me doing, is that this feels different to me. This feels different.
Obviously.
Rather than look at them and say they're too young to do it, because young teams don't typically do it. And rather than look at them and say they don't have enough playoff scars to do it because teams without playoff scars don't typically do it, I was willing to look at them and say they will do this in the face of those trends. They will do this in the face of that history. I know teams led by 26-year-olds don't often get this done, and teams that have an average age of below 26 don't typically get this done.
Right.
But I think they can. And now it seems, barring a surprise, I'll just keep it factual, because it would be a surprise in the betting markets if they don't win it. So let's just keep it factual. Barring a surprise, they are going to do this.
I think the scary thing, too, if you're an NBA fan and a fan of another team, is
they're going to keep doing it.
I'm not so sure they're even at the peak of their powers right now.
They're not.
They have 2 first-round picks in the next 3 drafts.
Well, that's not even the thing.
But I'm just saying.
No, here's the thing. Chet Holmgren ain't even scratched the surface on what he's going to be. Or at the very least, he is nowhere close to a finished product. Like, they are probably about to win a championship, and one of their top 3 players is still so clearly on the way up in his own personal trajectory.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, yeah, they're still young. And they're going to be able to, they're going to have flexibility. They just are, which is not something that you typically see with teams that are, right there at the top competing for a title. Usually, for the most part, those teams,
they're locked in.
They have their squad. They're paying all their guys. Like they're.
I don't think they will do this, especially if they win the championship, because at that point, it's like you built this thing that just did it.
Right.
Don't mess with it.
Right.
That would at least be my advice. Like, don't mess with it. But they are the type of team, the type of franchise, in this moment, they could run away with this title and then put together the best package possible to go get Giannis if they wanted to. I don't think you mess with...
I'm with you. If you do it, like...
If you run away with a championship, average age below 26, MVP 26, you just got to leave that alone.
I think so.
I think you can't... Because if you do anything next year other than win the whole thing after tinkering with it, you get questioned immensely. Even if you're Sam Presti, you get questioned immensely. So I think you just leave it alone. But to your point, typically when we're talking about championship teams, they're older. They do have more playoff scars. And they're kind of locked into what they are.
Yep.
And we don't know how much longer it will last. This is a thing where it could last for a long time. They probably should be locked into the core that they have. But if they wanted to go out and land literally the person some people say is the best basketball player in the world and add him to this franchise, they could do that. Sam Presti has positioned this thing in an incredible way.
For sure.
And that's why, I don't know if you saw it early this morning, but, it's the normal group on Get Up talking on television. And Michael Wilbon was telling a story about he was on radio in Chicago recently. And just sort of a random question. He was asked, if you could, at the end of this season, say you're the Chicago Bulls, because we're in Chicago having this conversation, and Wilbon's a Chicago guy and loves all that stuff, right? You're the Chicago Bulls. If you could snap your fingers right now and have either Cooper Flagg or Sam Presti, what would you do?
I still think the answer's Cooper Flagg.
I do too.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I do too. I still think the answer's the player.
Yeah.
I think Sam Presti might tell you the answer's the player.
Right.
Like, I think you might ask him that same question, and he would go, the reason I am Sam Presti is because I'm smart enough to know the player matters more than me.
Sure.
All right? The reason I'm so good at this is because I know the player matters more than me.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So I think the answer is still Cooper Flagg. But it is an interesting thing that could even be asked in a somewhat reasonable way. Would you rather just have the guy who can sit in the office and build it, or the guy who can get on the court and do it? And you might just rather have the guy who can sit in the office and build it. I guess where I would land on this total hypothetical is if you think Cooper Flagg is going to be a generational talent, there's only a handful of those. And there should be at least a bigger number of people who can competently build NBA franchises. So I would side with the player. But that is where we're at. Sam Presti has done this so well that they're on ESPN this morning talking about, would you rather have Cooper Flagg or Sam Presti? Like, that is where we're at. An incredible thing that they've built there, and now they're just 4 wins away from marching it all the way through. One last thing on SGA, then I got an Anthony Edwards question for you.
Okay.
He went 30-plus again last night, and so far, because of the nature of the bracket, they have closed out 3 playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
He has scored 30 or more in the closeout game in each of those series. So he now has 3 closeout games in this postseason with 30-plus points. Nobody's ever had more. All right? Which means if the Thunder win the championship and they eliminate the Eastern Conference champion in game 4, 5, 6, or 7, in whatever the elimination game is, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scores at least 30 points in that game, he will be the first and only player in NBA history to have at least 30 points in the closeout game of 4 different series in the same postseason. Right now, he's already done it 3 times. Do you want the list of the other men who have done it 3 times?
I'm sure Michael Jordan's there.
Actually, no.
LeBron.
LeBron is there.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. LeBron James, here's the whole list.
Okay. Kobe.
You've scored at least 30 points in a closeout game of a series 3 different times in the same postseason. The list is LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, George Mikan, and now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Wow.
That's the whole list. That's the entire list. And if SGA is able to score at least 30 in a closeout game in the NBA Finals, he will, bring a championship to OKC, but also put himself in a category 1 of 1 against all of the all-time greats. He's doing it. He's delivering. You cannot appreciate his style of play, be frustrated by the foul hunting, whatever you want to do. He's doing it. He is guiding a team, leading a team at an unusually young age to a place people his age don't usually take teams, particularly when you're surrounded by people who are similarly young. And what's interesting about this, and I'm not saying it'll always be this way, but you watch these post-game interviews right now, and they all look at him like they just sort of look up at him. I don't mean literally look up at him, like Chet Holmgren's not looking up at him. Chet Holmgren's way up here. But I mean, they look to him.
No, I mean, he's the clear leader, and they know it. Yeah,
they know. It doesn't seem to be any. If I heard anybody in that locker room was like, I don't know why SGA gets all the attention, I would be like, I bet that's not true. I don't get the sense that the jealousy stuff or any of the stuff that could come with a bunch of young guys getting rich and famous and successful very quickly. I don't get the sense that any of the problems that sometimes come with that are there right now. Doesn't mean they can't emerge. This is the story of every, or at least most, great rock bands of all time. When it starts, everybody's young, hungry, just trying to make it and happy to have any sort of success. Eventually, you know what happens to all of these bands? It doesn't matter whether it's Guns N' Roses or do you go back, the Beatles. You know what happens? Eventually, you go from being young and best friends who just are blown away that you're getting to do this and you're here to, why does he get all the credit? Why are they always talking about him? Why is the photo promo him in the middle instead of me? These little things start to creep up. Then bands break up, best friends split apart. It is the history of music. And it can be the history of basketball teams as well. Penny Shaq, Kobe Shaq. These things are real things. I can't tell you that it'll never be a thing in Oklahoma City. What I can tell you is it appears to not be a thing. It appears to not be a thing right now. And they just seem to really know who they are. I don't know if they genuinely believed when these playoffs started that they could do it in spite of all the reasons people say they can't. Because you can think whatever you want to think, but you don't really know. And the whole world's telling you, be careful, because I know you feel good about yourself, but Michael didn't do it like this. LeBron didn't do it like this. KD didn't do it like this. Just be careful. Understand history. But after they have done what they've done in this postseason and the way that they've done it, it feels like to me they know how good they are and they know what they're capable of doing. And I'd be surprised at this point, barring injury stuff that you can't possibly predict, I'd be surprised if they do it. Last thing, then we'll get Mike Wallace in here. Anthony Edwards, post-game interview last night. And I made a point, like, after the game, SVP comes on. And I sort of, first of all, I just like SVP, so I kept that on. And then they took a commercial break. They're going to come back. And Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley were at the podium. And at that point of the night, I'm ready to watch something else. Like, basketball's over, and let's, like, turn on a movie or a television show and whatever. I was like, no, I want to hear what Anthony Edwards has to say. Because I just assumed he would say something that created a headline, whether he meant to or not. And he did create a headline. As the question was presented to him after he, not only team gets embarrassed, humiliated by Oklahoma City, but like he just did not. One guy, if we're talking about two possible young faces of the league, one guy did it and the other guy, in whatever ways, just didn't show up. Or at least didn't get the job done. And so I didn't like the way the question was asked because it was all over the. It sounded like one of those questions where somebody just wants to hear themselves talk in a press conference. This is my most frustrating thing about press conferences. There are people in there who are asking questions because they want real answers and they don't assume somebody else is going to ask this very specific question. So that's when I'm going to raise my hand. That is the only time I speak in a press conference. If I go, I want the answer to this question. I don't think anybody else is going to ask it, and I don't know that I'll be able to ask it anywhere else. So I'll do it now. I am never in a press conference just to hear myself talk. Sometimes whether it's a Grizzlies post-game press conference, anywhere, it's just like there's so many people there just wanting to hear themselves talk.
Yep.
All right? And this felt a little bit like that. So it was, hey, Ant, you've had the highs and the highs and the highs, and now here we are, the lows and the lows again. And what does it feel like to be bounced out in the Western Conference Finals like this? It must hurt. I imagine it hurts. Like just sort of like projecting what you think might be his feelings onto him. And the easiest and probably best thing for him to say would have been, of course it hurts. I have a television. I turn it on. I see people debating about whether we can do this, whether I can lead a team, whether I need to be more aggressive or this or that. And now I'm sitting here talking to you about losing by 30. And I didn't have my best game, and that came after I also didn't have my best game. And, yeah, man, I'm sick. This is not the way I thought this series was going to go. Hats off to them. They're amazing. But I didn't expect to be sitting here talking to you after 5 games. And I didn't expect to be talking to you under these circumstances. And we got to figure this thing out. I'm still young. I got a lot of years left to do this. But right now, I'm a little embarrassed. My team just lost by 30. That should never happen. Something along those lines is probably the best thing you could say. You know what he said? I'm excited.
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm 23 years old. I'm going to get a lot more chances to do this. I'm hurt that I couldn't get it done for Mike because the implication was Mike doesn't have a lot of more years to do this, which he doesn't. But, like, hurt? I'm not hurt. Hurt's a terrible word to use. Was just sort of dismissive of the idea that he should be up there hurting in this moment. What do you make of that?
Well, I agree that it's probably not the right answer in the moment. I do think he really believes that. The problem is it's something that we've talked about here. And listen, he's been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. Like, that's really good, and he should be happy with that for only 23 years old. The problem is these things are never linear. It almost always, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's never you never think that it's – you just think you're going to keep going up.
Oh, sure.
The next year it's going to get better because I'm going to work hard. And he said, I'm going to have the best offseason ever. I'm going to work hard. It rarely happens like that. Like, you don't just get back. Like, again, with the Grizzlies, like, we're this young team. We're the 2 seed in the West 2 years in a row. And it's like, okay, the trajectory is there. Like we're on the come up, and next year we'll be back. And then you're not. And so now you've got to rethink things. I think that I respect that he feels that way. And I think he's a great player. I think there is a good chance he'll be back, but it doesn't always happen like that.
I think he would have been better served making 1 point, the first point, without making the second. You can make the point, I think, accurately. Nobody wants to lose on this stage, but I am a 23-year-old who has just led a team to the Western Conference Finals in back-to-back years. How many 23-year-olds have ever done that? So this stinks, but I'm trying to stay focused on the big picture here. You guys are the ones who always tell me about these playoff scars that I got to get. Well, I'm getting them right now, man. I'm cut up, and it hurts. But when honestly, the shock of just getting blown out on national television subsides, I do have it in me to go, I'm 23, and I'm on the right path. I got to get better, and I got to work harder, and all that stuff's coming. But I have been in the Western Conference Finals twice by the age of 23 as the best player or the leading scorer, or however you want to frame it. And I'm not just going to be dismissive of that fact, because that is something I am proud of, even if I know we got a lot of work to do. I think all of that is sensible. When you get into it doesn't hurt, and that's a weird word for you to even use, it just runs counter to what everybody wants to hear. Because there's Timberwolves fans last night all over the country, but especially in Minneapolis. And do you know what word they wouldn't be offended by? Hurt. They hurt. So you have fans last night going, oh, this guy says he's excited and doesn't hurt. I'm hurting. I'm a season ticket holder. I live and die with this stuff. Why am I hurting if he's not hurting? And here's the truth. Of course he's embarrassed, and of course he hurts. He's just has the type of personality, I'll let a therapist figure it out. He struggles to show that, or at least acknowledge it. He has real feelings like any other human, I would assume, on some level. It is only natural to be embarrassed and hurt a little bit when something like what happened to him last night happens to you on that biggest stage, right? If my 8-year-old played a baseball game this weekend and they lost by 30, he would be hurt. He would be hurt, like genuinely hurt and upset as an 8-year-old. Now, I'd put my arm around him and tell him, buddy, none of this is really that important. We're just out here having a great time. But he would feel that, and he would show that. It just doesn't make sense to me that Anthony Edwards has none of that inside of him. You have to be embarrassed a little bit. You have to hurt a little bit. I just think he gets into these moments, and last night was one where he doesn't know how to express that, and is resistant to doing it for reasons that, again, I would let a therapist figure out. But it's not too different from Jaren Jackson Jr. in the locker room late in the season where he's asked about the slide. And it's like you're being asked to just express how tough this is, and you just, for whatever reason, don't want to give them what it is they're clearly looking for. So you just say things like, in Ant's case, I'm not hurt. And in Jaren's case, it could be worse, could be homeless. You just try to add context, big picture context, to this conversation that you don't really want to have in this moment. And so you end up saying something that's going to, for lack of a better word, ruffle feathers just a little bit. I thought that's what happened to Jaren late in the season when he said that. I don't think he meant it. I think he was just frustrated in the moment and didn't want to give what it is everybody standing around is wanting you to give. And Anthony Edwards did that a little bit last night as well. I'll chalk it up to him being 23 years old. I don't think the Thunder are going to not win a championship because they're too young, but I do think it's possible Anthony Edwards didn't answer that question perfectly last night, in part, at least in part, because he's on the young side. I'll ask Mike Wallace about it next.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Are you ready? Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
The first ladies of FedEx Forum, the Grizz Girls, are known across the NBA for setting the standard for professional dance and entertainment. And they are looking for dancers to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. With the chance to gain professional dance experience and connect with the Memphis community, auditioning for the Grizz Girls is an opportunity you do not want to miss. Come show up at Open Call Auditions Saturday, July 26th at the Memphis Sports and Events Center. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
1, 2, 3. Ready, go.
Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by OrthoSouth. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, and on Thursdays in the second segment, I'm joined by Mike Wallace. He's on X at my Mike Check. He's here right now. How are you?
Yeah, man. Just fresh off the plane from Jamaica.
How
over
was
the last 5 days, man. It was good. It was good.
Man, everybody. I understand not everybody can just pop off to Jamaica, but man, if you can, it's just
you got to do it.
It's nice to just unplug, man.
It is. It is. I needed it. I didn't know how much I needed until I got there, and there was some bumps along the way on the trip. You know what I mean?
Give me the biggest bump.
Ooh, somebody almost died on the plane.
Well,
there was
Jesus Christ, that's a bump.
Medical emergency that
delayed
us. We got stranded. I mean, it's first world problems, right?
Yeah, but it
we
doesn't
got
mean they're not
stranded
frustrating.
in Miami for a day.
Well, let's stop there for a second because
we couldn't get to Montego Bay.
But I reject it. Like, it is always first world problems. But it doesn't mean that as you are experiencing these obstacles, like the way this is a real problem for me. That I actually need to address.
Okay.
Every day of my life, I have an idea of how that day is going to go.
Okay.
Every day. And when it doesn't go that way, when anything gets in the way of it, it agitates me in a way where I get like I'm ready to kick something, and like I just get real frustrated real easy. Like I had it in my head how this was going to go.
Right.
And it is not going this way now.
Right.
And it's not my fault. And now I'm bothered. And I get real bothered.
Yeah.
I can snap out of it, but I'm always going to get in that place.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah. First world problems, but when you have thought about a vacation and you've planned it and you've paid for it and now it's time to do it, when it doesn't go the right way, that's frustrating.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's what happened, man. We got on the plane 5:51 on, I think it was Saturday in Memphis. And we were supposed to be in Jamaica by noon or 1 that same day. And we got on, it was an hour-long weather delay the first time. And then the guy just got sick. Right, and just now turns out, he had it was a hangover, and then he had some other complications. His blood pressure shot up and all this kind of stuff. But it was a medical emergency. They had to bring, the meds onto the plane.
Oh, wow.
So by this time, we're 3 hours on the tarmac now. And then we have to wait another hour, a fourth hour, because they had to use the medical equipment on the plane. And because they opened the medical equipment, you got to replace it all, and it has to be a new unsealed medical kit.
And now you're getting into a situation where pilots are timing out and flight attendants are timing out, and it could spiral on you real good.
The dude, whoever is in charge of the medical kits at Memphis Airport was in his bed. They had to call him and get him out of his bed so he could come in on a Saturday, unlock a cabinet or whatever, and get a new medical kit on the plane, and then we could take off. Now, of course, by then everyone missed their connections,
right?
And it was one of those deals where it was an absolute inconvenience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we ended up getting the extra day in Miami, spent the extra night, and we got to Jamaica a day later. It was all good.
Dig that. You always try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And realize things could be worse. But it doesn't mean it doesn't suck. Either way, I'm glad you enjoyed your vacation. I'm glad you're back here. Let's talk about the NBA playoffs. And I want to start with where I concluded the conversation in the opening segment, specifically about Anthony Edwards. I intentionally wanted to watch his post-game press conference last night because I just assumed he would. I just find him interesting, and I assumed he would say something interesting. And he was asked the type of question all these guys are asked when the season's finally over. What does it feel like? Disappointment, hurt.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be bothered that somebody would even float the word hurt in his vicinity, because he described himself as excited about the future, about where this thing can go. He more or less said, I'm only 23 years old. I got a long time to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep working, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
And even took offense with the word hurt. He's like, that's a terrible word to use. Except that is right. What do you think he was doing there?
I think he was trying to show a level of maturity that people question about him on most days, right? I think he was trying to, send a message to his teammates and his players that, hey, we got to the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years, and this is just the beginning, right? And so I think he was trying to paint a positive picture from that standpoint and be optimistic more so. So I give him credit for that, because at least it took him to buy into the bit, right? That he was going to carry that through. And, again, as you said, 23 years old, back-to-back Western Conference finalists. If you're Anthony Edwards, you're feeling pretty good about where you are. Now, you also know, just like the Grizzlies found out, we're not on this OKC level.
That's right.
Like, we're just not there. And there's a lot that has to happen for us to get there. And OKC is exposing a lot of teams, and they will continue to do so in the Western Conference, that everybody else is fighting for second place right now. And Minnesota is one of those teams that are right there. But no shame in getting back-to-back Western Conference Finals. Kudos to them. They're in a good spot.
Like, if I would have been with Anthony Edwards, I would just say, hey, I understand your point. And I think that's a fair point to make. Say, hey, instead of sitting here and hanging our heads, I am 23 years old, and I've been in the Western Conference Finals twice. Not the list of men who have led franchises to the Western Conference or Eastern Conference Finals twice by the age of 23 is a pretty short list.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to focus on that as much as I can and not get caught up in the other stuff. But the problem, I said, that's all good stuff.
Yeah.
People don't want you to say it doesn't hurt.
Right.
They just want to. Even if it doesn't really hurt, because you've got a $200 million contract, the best home in the world, and 3 baddies waiting for you. Even if you're going to be fine, just your fans.
Show some frustration.
People want to hear that it hurts because it is hurting other people. It was funny, like, because the whole time Anthony Edwards is delivering this answer about not hurting, he's sitting literally next to Mike Conley, who looks like he's hurting.
Yes.
Who looks like he's
That's the saddest I've ever seen Mike.
It really was the saddest I've ever seen Mike. He looked like he was up there sad and hurting.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards is like, I'm not hurt. I can't believe you'd even think that. It was just a weird moment.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, he tried to buy into that. Like, he wanted to sell it. But you're right. Like, hey, you just lost and you basically just got whipped in this series. And, hey, have some kind of level of, man, this is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? When you're talking about how much money these guys are getting as so young and the kind of attention, like he's on every other commercial, he's got a $200 million contract, he's made it to the Western Conference Finals, his brand is increasing. What's hurting?
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. I think that's where the disconnect is with the modern NBA player and the modern athlete, is that they have achieved so much without having gotten to the ultimate goal that it's hard to really find that hurt. Now, Mike Conley doesn't have many more years
That's
left,
right.
and that's where his thing is. But as you were saying that, and as I was thinking about what Anthony Edwards was saying, LeBron went the opposite way.
Well, go ahead, you finish.
No, he went the opposite way, and I remember that press conference. I was sitting right there, and he caught a lot of flack when he was talking about, hey, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and my life is gonna be basically better than yours.
Well, see, you say it's the opposite way. I sort of felt like that's under the same umbrella of what Anthony Edwards was doing last night. You want him to say, I just lost a basketball game, a series, and I'm suicidal. You don't really, want that, but that's the sentiment you want. And instead, a lot like LeBron that time, Ant was like, this doesn't hurt my life. I'm still LeBron more or less said in that moment, and you were there in the room, hey, I don't like to lose, but buddy, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm still gonna be LeBron James, and you're gonna be you. And like, I get that. That is possibly a good perspective to have, just in terms of mental health stuff.
But not in that moment.
Nobody wants to hear it. That's the thing. Nobody wants to hear that.
See, I thought Anthony, and I looked at it from the way that like Edwards was trying to be as positive and as encouraging as can be, right? Because he knows what's coming. He knows that now you got to reevaluate this roster. It's way deep into the tax. They hadn't been able to get over the hump necessarily. What's going to happen with Gobert? What's going to happen, with some of the role players that they have there? Has Mike Conley got anything left? They have so many questions to answer. Nikhil Alexander-Walker could go into free agency. So, look, I'm going to start recruiting right now by telling you what all the good things are, and you go from there. But I get it. You want to be a little more hurt. You want to be a little more distraught and down. But I think what happened with Anthony Edwards, he accepted the bad a long time ago in this series. Right. And he knew, like, it settled in. We're not going to we're not there. We're not there yet. You know what I mean? They
really do that to you, they being Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
They can rip away your confidence. Because everything's so hard when you're on offense and they're on defense. When you're on defense and they're on offense, they've got the MVP manipulating everything. And that ain't even the worst part of it for you. Because the worst part of it for you is when you're on offense and you've got 5 capable defenders on the court almost at all times.
Everywhere.
Passes that you can normally make get ripped out of the air, and it's 2 points the other way. Bounces you can normally bounce get taken away from you. Whether you're Jaren Jackson Jr., Nikola Jokic, Naz Reid, 5 turnovers last night. Things that these elite professional basketball players can typically get away with and do, you can't do them against Oklahoma City.
No, and they're just phenomenal. I just saw a stat coming in here that they're the first team since, I want to say, the Nets back in 2000 to advance to the NBA Finals with no player on the roster with 10 years of experience in the NBA. And this team is still young. They're relatively inexpensive because the major contracts outside of Gilgeous-Alexander hadn't kicked in yet. And they're doing it with a lot of guys on rookie scale or minimum level type extensions. And that is and I know Grizzlies fans and the business of the world don't want to hear it, but they have been set up perfectly. Like, there is not a flaw at all in that team in terms of how they were built, what their salary cap picture looks like. They still have multiple first-round picks. So they can say, you know what, we got picks if we want to rebuild, if we don't want to re-sign these guys. They do everything in a certain way. And they're never going to get the credit because they're not the sexy team. This is going to shape up as probably the least interesting NBA Finals that a lot of people have seen in a long time, because it doesn't have major markets. It doesn't have major superstars that people are going out buying their shoes. but it's everything that's right about how you build a team in both Indiana and presumably Indiana and Oklahoma City.
I won't pretend that I spend every day of the NBA regular season watching the Oklahoma City Thunder because I'm busy and I got a million other things to do. But I have watched every postseason game for the most part. And I don't want to overstate it because I think it's easy for people like us with jobs like this to do these things the day after games. But it feels like, at least, they are gaining confidence as they go. That I understand being confident entering this thing because we won more games than anybody else this season. We blew out more people than anybody else this season. We had the highest point differential in the history of the NBA. We've got the MVP. We're confident. But there's still people telling you, but
yes, you hadn't done it.
You hadn't done it, and teams like you don't do it. They kept having to hear that. And so that's got to be somewhere in your head, and maybe here I'm projecting now, but I think it's possible entering this thing, you're very confident and you believe in yourselves, but you are aware that it is true. People like us don't usually do this. And as they run through round one and then get out of round two and then run through round three, post-game interviews, the way they look at Shea, I think, means something. And I mean that literally the way I said it. The way they look at him, I think, means something. The way he handles himself is incredibly impressive. And I feel like if, this is the point I'm trying to make, if there was even a little bit of doubt when this thing started that, we are really good, but teams like us don't win this, I don't think that's there anymore. I don't think there's any doubt with them anymore. I don't only think they believe they can win it, I think they believe anything other than them winning it at this point would be crazy. Oh yeah. The expectation for them to be having a parade right outside in that park that's perfect for a parade, in Oklahoma City, would be a major, major disappointment. Now, Indiana is the type of team that is almost OKC-like. In terms I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. It's going to be, as far as basketball junkies and basketball nerds and styles, that's going to be a fantastic finals, unless the Knicks do something crazy, right? But to your point, I said it at the time, that Denver series was their NBA finals. Like, once they got past that test, there's not going to be a greater test that they're going to face than what they had to do against Denver. And credit Denver, because I was more impressed with Denver pushing that to 7 than I was with anything that anybody else have done in the playoffs so far. The fact that they did that, pushed it to 7, with basically their roster falling apart with the interim coach and all of those kind of things. But, you're right. To your point about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he reminds me a lot. Like, this guy is, his mannerisms, the way he talks, the way he almost looks, how he allocutes, it's part Michael, part Kobe. Yeah. He has that kind of that's how he communicates. Right. And, he's always stoic. He's always saying the right things. And he's giving credit where credit is due. Like, how many guys would go spend $12,000, $15,000 on gifts for your entire roster when you won the MVP? Yeah. Like, again, man, I don't know how they've perfected it, but they've crafted this as well as any team I've ever seen in terms of how they're going about handling their business. It's been tremendously done, and like I said, and where are the holes? Like, you can run this back next year. Oh, yeah. And everyone, like, Caruso's on a manageable contract. They should be better. Like, Chet gets another year. He gets another year. And if he's healthy, even health didn't hurt them because Chet missed half the year. That's right. And they still got here. So, Jalen Williams, at some point you're going to have to pay him. At some point, Chet's going to roll into a massive extension. But by the time you do all of that, everything you've seen in these guys is that they love playing together. They can be the next version of the Spurs, where everybody takes a little bit less and they keep this thing together and they just run straight through, man. And that's a scary thought because, again, the Grizzlies play in their conference. What can you do to maximize yourself, to give yourself a best chance against Oklahoma City? You have the players, but is this the right mix? I mean, it's a lot of things that this team has to do and go back this offseason and reset and say, how can we get there? Well, in terms of how the Grizzlies should react to what's happening right now, I think once you get swept out by Oklahoma City, it feels bad, and it feels like you're a million miles away. And Zach Kleiman even said, we're not close. I think as we've watched this thing unfold, it's just like and I said this during that series, I'm like, they're going to do this to other people. They just did it to Minnesota. I know it was 5 instead of 4, but they just humiliated them too. All right, and they weren't missing their franchise point guard. And they just humiliated them too. They're capable now of just
running off on this thing. And if you start gauging how far you are away from them and then using that to implement roster changes, I think you could get lost a little bit because everybody's pretty far away from them. It looks like.
Right.
So I think if I am running the Grizzlies or any other franchise in a similar situation where you're looking up at a monster and you're trying to figure out how to get there, I don't even try to figure out how to get there. I try to figure out how to get to whoever the next tier is.
To the other side of that, right.
The Pacers won 50 games. The Grizzlies won 48. All right? And the Pacers are about to be in the NBA Finals. So, how far are you forget how far are you from Oklahoma City. How far are you from the Pacers? How far are you from the Knicks? How far are you from the Timberwolves? And
great point.
You try to get to that place.
Yeah.
And then I know nobody wants to hear this, but here's what you do. You hope you somehow, some way end up in a 7-game series against Oklahoma City. Not in the first round again. Let's not do that.
Right.
But whether it's the Western Conference semifinals and the Western Conference Finals, you hope that if you end up in a series against them, you don't hope you have a better roster than them because you won't.
Right.
All right. Here's what you hope. Shay's got a hamstring problem.
Some misfortune.
Yes.
Right. Some misfortune. And
something bad happens to them, and the bad stuff that always happens to you doesn't happen. That's the trick. That's the trick.
That's it. Great point. And you want to be on the other side of the bracket than them. Right. And this is the thing. People say, okay, well, this should prove that, is Minnesota that far ahead of the Grizzlies? Is Denver that far ahead of the Lakers? And I still say, and you're right, you had a chance to beat Minnesota in the, 3 games left in the season? So you could have avoided. You could have been in the 6th seed. You had a chance to beat the same Lakers that everybody said didn't have a center. You had a chance to beat them. You fired your coach the day before and took yourself out of a chance to beat the Lakers. You had obviously the Denver thing was the second night of a back-to-back. So you have to measure yourself. Are we putting ourselves in the best position to be the other team opposite of the bracket of Oklahoma City then take our chances? Great point. You made a great point there.
Last thing before I get you out of here, let's look ahead to Pacers-Knicks. It's an elimination game for New York. They're down 3-1. It's like 96% of the time a team goes up 3-1 in a best-of-7 series in the NBA playoffs, they end up advancing one way or another. So we know where we're probably headed. But the Knicks are back at home. They'll have that crowd. Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable, so we'll see about that. Do you think it's over here, or can we get it back to Indianapolis?
I think if the Knicks are anything that they've been for 90% of this season, they find a way to win this game and force it back to Indiana. That's just what they are. I think it's amazing how they've been one of the more clutch teams all the way up until this point until they faced the Indiana Pacers. They were far more clutch against Boston than they are against the Pacers. But the Pacers are just so relentless with their pace and their balance. You don't know on a given night which Pacer is going to beat you. And that's a scary thought.
Well, they've won 3 games so far in the series. One of them was the Aaron Nesmith game. One of them was the Pascal Siakam game. And one of them is the Tyrese Halliburton game.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. There it is. I think the Knicks do get it tonight, though, maybe because I want them to get it. And I don't want a whole week before we see game 1 of the NBA Finals. But I hope the Knicks can find some kind of way to make it a fight tonight and then send this thing back to Indiana.
That's where I'm at. I just like postseason basketball. So give me if the Knicks win this one, we get at least one more playoff game than we otherwise would in a packed arena with all the characters, and I'll take that. I need stuff on television, so I'll take that. But we'll see tonight. That's Mike Wallace. He's on X at @MyMikeCheck. Make sure you're seeing him over at grindcitymedia.com. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
We come back. The deadline for underclassmen to withdraw from the NBA draft and return to college, it was last night. Some notable decisions, especially in the SEC, including one from the son of a former Memphis Tiger. We'll talk about that next. Gary Parrish Show presented by OrthoSouth.
What should the Grizzlies take away from this Western Conference Finals matchup?
The Grizzlies need more quality depth. Not just depth, quality depth.
Well, what the Memphis Grizzlies can learn and take away from the Western Conference Finals is you can't talk about it, you got to be about it.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Have you always dreamed of entertaining on the biggest stage in Memphis? The Claw Crew is looking for members to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. Claw Crew members are hardworking, high-energy entertainers who assist Grizzlies home games by hyping up the crowd and much more. Not only do they support the Grizzlies on home games, but also promote in Memphis and across the Mid-South. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information and to register today. The Grizzlies, grannies, and grandpas have the right moves and are currently looking for new members to join their team for the upcoming season. These soulful seniors are a fan favorite group throughout Grizz Nation. You do not have to be a grandparent, but you must be at least 50 years old with personality, rhythm, and passion for performing. If that sounds like you, then we want to see you on Sunday, June 29th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information.
With a knock-away.
Good defense.
Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Let's go.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Orthopedic injuries. You know they could be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and OrthoSouth understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either, and that's because OrthoSouth welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit OrthoSouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and OrthoSouth will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at OrthoSouth.org. That's OrthoSouth at OrthoSouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
The deadline for underclassmen to withdraw from the NBA draft and return to college, it was last night, 11:59 p.m. Eastern, and there were multiple notable developments in the SEC. Let's start, though, with one with a local tie.
All right.
And that's Adou Thero. Arkansas's leading scorer last season did make it official. He is going to remain in the 2025 NBA draft. He will not be returning to Arkansas to play for our old pal, John Calipari. Adou, of course, is the son of former Tiger Almami Jarreau. So if you're a Tiger fan, you might not be familiar with the son, but you watched the father play for John Calipari once upon a time. Adou Thero remains in the draft. In the SEC, elsewhere, some big developments. Tahad Pettiford, back to Auburn. Otega Owe, back to Kentucky. And this was the surprise, LeBaron Philon, back to Alabama. That's the biggest headline because Owe back to Kentucky, expected. Pettiford back to Auburn, always expected. Big NIL deals. But LeBaron Philon had said at the Combine earlier in the month, I'm all in on the draft. Like, I'm not going back to school. Like, you can keep telling me I will be picked 22nd or 32nd or 42nd. I'm telling you I'm going to be in the 2025 NBA draft. And then with 29 minutes left in the window to withdraw from the draft, Alabama's NIL collective broke the news.
I was going to say, like, doesn't this feel like one of those situations where the agent's like, yo, I know you want to go pro, but, like, I'm looking at this, and there's no way you're going to make more money in the NBA than in college next year.
Well, there's a couple of interesting decisions exactly like that went down last night. And LeBaron Philon went one way, and R.J. Lewis, the reigning Big East Player of the Year at St. John's, went the other way. And so we can settle here and have this conversation because I do find this interesting. You're exactly right, by the way, with Phylon. I don't know if it was an agent or if it was a dad or if it was somebody. It was somebody. And they just sit down and... Did you ever watch The Price is Right?
Religiously, forever. I mean, dude, when you're at grandma's house, like in the summer, like that's...
Okay.
You got 5 channels. That's Price is Right is always a staple.
You just described my childhood.
Yeah, right.
Spend the summers at grandma's house, and we will watch Price is Right.
Yeah, you got 5 channels and like a couple VHS tapes. Like I think Fried Green Tomatoes was one of them. I watched that. Wow. That's weird that popped into my head.
You were describing it's like we had the same grandparents. I would go to my grandmother's house, and that's summers, and you'd watch Press Your Luck and Price is Right. And I'd maybe even watch a soap with grandma, you know?
Yeah.
I might even turn on a Days of Our Lives.
I hated the soaps.
But young people won't understand this. We didn't have an iPad to play on.
No, man, you didn't have choices. Well, you did. You had 5 of them.
You had 5.
Yeah.
My little guy will go to his grandmother's house right now, and he will walk in the front door, and he will say, Grandma, can I have your phone? Grandma, can I have your phone? And he'll just be playing on the phone, whatever.
He can find anything he wants.
Anything he wants.
Yep.
We had to watch Price is Right.
Yes, we did. And Judge Judy.
Kids these days don't even... You ready for this? At the age of 8, during the summer, I watch Price is Right every day.
Every day.
Because there was nothing else to do.
I looked forward to it.
Can't wait.
I'm talking Bob Barker.
Of course. Of course.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Legend. Little too touchy for my... little too touchy.
Oh, that was the norm back then. I mean, shoot, you saw Richard Dawson on Family Feud back in the day.
He'd French kiss a woman.
Yeah, he just would like make out with your wife right next to you.
He would make out with your wife. Richard Dawson was a wild fella.
Insane, yeah.
Richard Dawson's a wild fella.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, I watched The Price is Right every day during the summer. I now have an 8-year-old. The Price is Right is still on every morning on network television. Do you think he even knows what it is? If I walk in the front door today, I say, hey, buddy, did you watch The Price is Right this morning? Would he even know what I'm talking about?
No.
I don't think he would even know what I'm talking about.
I don't think so.
Something's been lost.
Yeah,
We've lost something in this country.
I still check it out every now and again.
We've lost something in this country.
I think so, too.
Do you know on Memorial Day, I swear to God, because it was just like a Monday morning where it was the rare weekday morning where I had nothing to do. And so I was just sitting, and I didn't want to turn on a show because I was trying to focus on something else with the computer. So I didn't want to turn on a movie or a show because I was trying to, and I didn't want to turn back on Sports Center because I felt like I was overwhelming my family with basketball stuff. So I was like, I just want to put something, and I swear to God, I turned on Price is Right.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. It was just on.
It's just comfort
food.
It
was comforting.
Yeah.
It was comforting. It made me feel young again, and God knows I need to feel young every once in a while. So you used to watch The Price is Right.
Yep. You
might remember there was this moment in the show where this is called the Showcase Showdown. They'll show you everything with the Showcase Showdown. They say, hey, you could bid on it. You could try to get this.
Yeah. I liked the yodeling guy.
I like that yodeling guy.
Remember the yodeling thing where the guy climbs the mountain?
Yes, I know him.
Yeah,
Plinko. Man, you got to talk to me.
Plinko's great.
Plinko's great. They say, okay, you want this Showcase Showdown? We just showed you everything it is. It's a washer and dryer, and it's a patio set, and it's a trip to Barcelona. You want this? If so, you can establish that as yours now, or you want this other thing over here, but I can't tell you what it's going to look like exactly.
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly what this is going to look like. I don't know what this is going to look like. Up to you. This is more or less the decision some college players were dealing with last night. Let's talk LeBaron Philon, because you've got it exactly right. At some point, somebody sits down with him, and they say, you're a 6'4" guard. After 1 year of college, you average double figures, top 5 scorer on a team that secured a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. You can come back to Alabama. They want you. They will give you multiple millions of dollars. Let's just, for the sake of our conversation, let's call it 2. It could be 2.5. It could be 3. It could be 1.7. That's not the point. For the sake of the conversation, so we can make it clean, let's call it 2. What somebody sits down and explains to LeBaron Philon is, right now, if you want to, you could take $2 million from Alabama. You know who your coach is. You know where you're living. You know who you're living with. You know you're going to be on a preseason top 20 team. You might be the best player on that team. You will be playing in sold-out arenas twice a week for 5 months on national television. That's Showcase Showdown number 1. You can take that right now. All you have to do is withdraw from the NBA draft. It's waiting on you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can stay in the NBA draft. But I can't tell you what happens next. You might be picked 25th or 35th or 45th. And I guess there's a scenario where if you're picked 45th, let's say, you could get the exact same contract Jamal Shead got last year. Jamal Shead out of Houston was the 45th pick in last year's draft. And he signed a 3-year deal worth $6.11 million. I think we would take that.
Yep.
All right? I think we would take that. But the 49th pick in last year's draft was Tristan Newton. And he signed a deal worth $578,577.
Yeah.
And the 53rd pick in last year's draft, that was Cam Spencer. $578,577. It's a 2-way contract. The 56th pick, that was Kevin McCullough. $578,577. 2-way. You might get the Jamal Shead contract, but you might be limited to the Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, Kevin McCullough contract. And that means instead of making $2 million at Alabama next season, where you're the best player on your team, playing in sold-out arenas, on national television twice a week, traveling in private planes, staying in 5-star hotels, instead of all that, you might be making $578,000, bouncing between the NBA and the G League. So when you're in the G League, you're probably scoring 20 points a game, but in front of 20 people at the Landers Center or wherever. You're also private planes? Forget about that, buddy. You're on Delta flights now. I can't tell you how many times I've boarded a Delta flight and watched an entire G League team walk. Yeah. And it's like there's one college player after another that I used to write about and talk about. And I'm sitting there in my seat, and they walking right past me to the back. They're in seat 32B, 7 foot tall, former college All-American, crunched up in 32B. That's your life, possibly. In fact, probably, if you enter the NBA draft. What life you want? To me, it's not even a question. I don't try to answer these questions for other people. Everybody's free to make their own decisions. That's his life, not mine. But for me, it's not even a question. You withdraw from the draft and you go back to Alabama.
Yeah, I think also, too, it was a thing that doesn't get talked about as much because we kind of talked about this with PJ Haggerty earlier this week is, guys like that do go back to big-time programs like at Alabama. Like, dude, they're remembered. They are.
Oh, sure.
They are.
You can have an impact and it can...
And you get taken care of later in life.
Well, Chris Beard and I have had this conversation when we were talking about NIL and when I was down in Oxford working on that Jamin Brakefield story. He said the thing he stresses to his players every day as they're enrolled in classes on their way to earning a bachelor's degree from the University of Mississippi, and in some cases, yes, making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, the thing Chris stresses to his players is when you leave here, if the only people you know are me and your other basketball coaches, you have wasted an incredible opportunity. Because just look at the first 3 rows around the entire court at every home game you play. Do you know who's going to fill those seats? Rich people who own things and who care about you because you play for the school they care about. They want to know you. They want to tell people they know you. They want to have pictures of you and them in their home or on their phone or on Facebook. Take advantage of that. So to your point, yeah, you can be remembered if you spend multiple years somewhere as opposed to just bounce, bounce, bounce. But you can also make real relationships. Like Jamin Brakefield is going to play professional basketball. You know what he did last summer? Ask Chris Beard and other people in the Ole Miss athletic department to help get him in touch with prominent Ole Miss alums who work in real estate. because he's interested in real estate.
Yeah.
So he spent last summer, I don't know the names exactly, but whoever are the best real estate people with Ole Miss ties in the area, Jamin Brakefield now has relationships with them. That's among the other values of just staying in the same place, staying in college. It's not just, it's meeting people.
Mm-hmm.
Who you're around. How can they maybe open a door for you somewhere? So for me, it's not even a question. If it were my son, it wouldn't even be a question. But again, everybody's free to make their own decisions. But what was interesting last night is you got LeBaron Philon make the decision to go back to Alabama, even though he had earlier insisted he would not do that. And I saw some people, they love to pull the quote from the combine and, oh, look at this liar, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just, to me, that's all weird because it's just a young man who has dreams. And I'm certain a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, he was just ready to be in the draft no matter what.
Yeah.
But as the deadline approaches and somebody does start to set your real life options in front of you, like the Showcase Showdowns, and they shut it in front of your parents and your agents and whoever else is in your circle, it becomes pretty obvious what the smart financial thing is to do, what the less risky thing is to do. And it's just take the money from Alabama and go back to Alabama and enjoy your sophomore year of college, as opposed to open this door, walk through it, and you don't know what's on the other side. And based on where you are in mock drafts, what's on the other side is possibly, not definitely, but possibly, a two-way contract worth less than $600,000.
Yeah.
All right? So what LeBaron Philon did last night makes total sense to me, regardless of what he previously said. At the end of the day, it's, hey, clock's ticking, buddy. It's time. You got to make a decision. Forget about what you said earlier. Forget about what you thought earlier. What's the best thing to do right now? I think he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was R.J. Lewis at St. John's, and he stayed in the draft last night, even though he's 65th on Cal Boone's big board and at real risk of not even getting picked. And his father was quoted last night as saying, we know what we're doing, and this is what we want to do. Because sometimes you just, like if I were advising the Lewis family, I'd say, do you guys know what you're doing? Because it doesn't, He says, listen, yeah, we know we had millions of dollars we could have taken to go to college, play college basketball again. We don't want to do that. We know what we're doing. Okay. But are you going to be disappointed when this lands wherever it lands? I think probably. I don't know where R.J. Lewis's career will take him. I don't know where anybody's career will ever take them. Fred VanVleet was undrafted coming out of Wichita State.
Right.
Now he's an NBA champion, hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think anybody would have predicted that on the night he went undrafted. And nobody will predict that type of stuff for R.J. Lewis if he goes undrafted. But my point is, you never know. So I'm not here to talk about where R.J. Lewis's career will land or end. I hope he makes $500 million. What I'm telling you is it's not going to start in a great place. It's just not. He will either get picked somewhere in the second round or not. Based on most projections, not seems just as likely, if not more likely than so. And I just will never get past this. Even if he didn't want to go back to St. John's, if he just announced the day after the season, I am leaving St. John's as the reigning Big East Player of the Year, just like P.J. Haggerty is leaving Memphis as the reigning AAC Player of the Year, but I am going to play college basketball next year. Make your offers. Somebody would have offered him $3 million, no problem. Mm-hmm. No problem. He could have secured that offer. There is a not unrealistic scenario where R.J. Lewis, day after St. John's season, has he himself or his family or his representation picks up the phone, calls Bill Self, and says, Coach Self, I was just benched in the NCAA tournament by my Hall of Fame coach, Rick Pitino. Our relationship has been lessened because of that, and I just think I need a fresh start. And it sounds like Coach Pitino thinks I might need a fresh start too. I would like to play for another Hall of Fame coach. I would like to play for you. I don't think it's unrealistic that if you make that phone call back in April, Kansas puts $3 million on the table for you, and you could be the reigning Big East Player of the Year on a Kansas team that's going to be ranked in the preseason top 20, 15, wherever, and you're playing in Allen Fieldhouse next season on all the stuff I said about LeBaron Philon, and you're doing it for $3 million. To just punt that to enter an NBA draft where you won't be where you might not be selected, and where you might be reduced to signing a contract like the Cam Spencer, Tristan Newton, Kevin McCullough contract, less than $600,000. Like, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the difference between $600,000 and $3 million.
Right.
There are people listening right now who will never make that kind of money their entire lives. And you just punted on it to possibly put you in a situation where you're in the G League half the year making $600,000. Now, to be clear, it'd be fine if he's making $600,000, a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it ain't $3 million. And I saw the quotes from the father. The father was like, "We want to be in the NBA." First of all, I don't like that he says "we" all the time. You're just the dad. But whatever, I'm not going to get caught up with that. He's like, "We want to be in the NBA." Okay. So do I. I bet you would like to be in the NBA.
Sounds good.
It ain't up to you.
Right.
It's up to NBA franchises. And based on all the current data, they don't want you like that. So just because you want to be in the NBA doesn't mean you're going to be. And it certainly doesn't make this a sensible decision. Because if the argument in favor of doing what he did is, we just don't want to be in college anymore. Sue us. Call us stupid. Tired of college. Want to go be a professional basketball player in whatever form. And if we leave money on the table, whatever. But we don't want to be in college anymore. Okay, I guess conversation over. But understand that college has changed dramatically in recent years. You used to hear that all the time. Players leaving college might not get picked in the draft. What are you doing? I just don't want to be in college anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I'm making any money in college anyway. They're not allowed to pay players. So I've already graduated, or I can graduate this summer. It's not like I'm making a lot of money in college or any money in college. It's all illegal to do that in a different time. And I'm just ready to get on with it. Okay. I didn't always agree, but I understood. This isn't that. You're not just leaving college anymore. You're quite literally, in some cases, leaving millions of dollars. There are millions of Americans right now who woke up today to go do a job they don't want to do. Just like if college basketball is a job R.J. Lewis no longer wanted to do, there are millions of people right now doing jobs they don't want to do. You might be one of them, Bennett.
Oh, I like my job.
I like my jobs too. But you get up and do it. You want to know why? Because this is the most money I can make doing something today. So that's what I'm going to do today. Right? How different should you think about college basketball these days if you're a college basketball player? Even if you want to be a quote professional in the NBA, in so many cases now, it is just financially more lucrative to be a college basketball player. So even if you don't want to be a college basketball player anymore, there's somebody out there who would advise you, you need to do it though, because it's a lot of money. It is possible R.J. Lewis just turned down more money to play basketball next season than he will ever make playing basketball again. I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying it's possible. And that's one where, as I said on the On College Basketball podcast this morning, I'm done calling other adults' decisions and their careers stupid, dumb, any of those types of words, because I, in my own career, have made choices that other people might not have made. And we all make decisions for different reasons. So I'm not going to call him any of the names that are floating around there on social media right now. But I am confused by it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's his career, his choice, all that stuff. Good luck. But this is one that, for a variety of reasons, it just seems like they're going to look up and possibly regret not more seriously considering a return to college, because at this point I will be surprised if R.J. Lewis is making as much money next season playing basketball as a professional as he could have made had he just announced a while back, I will play college basketball next season. Let me hear your offers.
Number 2.
Ben Stiller's got some words for Pat McAfee.
Oh, I like this. I like this little beef.
After the WWE commentator and host of the Pat McAfee show got the mic in advance of Game 4 Pacers-Knicks. You probably saw this. Mm-hmm. Game 4, Pacers-Knicks in Indianapolis. It's 2-1 at that point. Pat McAfee, who obviously played for the Colts and has now built just an incredible media. Like, his story is incredible.
It really is.
Like, he's just, I don't care whether you like him or not, you got to respect. Like, he's everywhere. And he's incredibly successful. And what I find most, like, there's a million of us. And by us, I just mean people who talk into microphones. There's a million of us. And everybody wants him on everything. He wasn't supposed to be on College Game Day, but they want him there. How did he become a wrestling commentator?
Right.
But they want him there. How does he host this monster of a show in the middle of the day on ESPN? They want him there. They want him everywhere. So I hear sometimes people are like, hey, he ain't for me. I understand that. But don't be dismissive of the talent. Like, maybe there's a quote, I think it was maybe from Shaquille O'Neal. I know Kobe Bryant said something similar once upon a time about Taylor Swift. And it was just like, I don't have to like everything she does or love the songs, but like, I'm fascinated by the success. I'm interested in, like, how did she become this? And I think similarly, you could look at McAfee and be like, maybe it ain't for me, but whoo boy, this is something. This is just a football player who decided he wanted to jump into this world, and now he's the biggest thing in this world, or at least one of the biggest things in this world. And he's especially a big thing in Indianapolis. So they hand him the mic inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and his own Pat McAfee way. It says more or less, we got the big city guys. All the celebs are here. There's Spike Lee over there. And there's Ben Stiller, and there's Timothy Chalamet. They've all come to Middle America from their big city, the big city celebs. They've come down to little old Middle America. So let's make sure to send them back with a blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, woohoo. And it was just, I saw it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Imagine if we were doing something similar here 10 years ago, and it would be Jerry Lawler doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this becomes a thing. And then Ben Stiller, I guess, addresses it on social media and says, yeah, that was weird. We were happy to be there and cheer our team, and other than that, Indy fans were awesome. #Knicks in 7. But the headline here is that Ben Stiller sitting there watching Pat McAfee talk about big city celebs and Ben Stiller, and here we are all in Indianapolis. Let's send these jerks home. Go Pacers.
I think he said SOBs.
SOBs home. Like Ben Stiller's like, yeah, I was there, and we had a blast in Indianapolis. Well, yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, what are you yelling at me for? How you feel, Bennett? What do you think?
I think it's just I like the wrestling. It's
a little bit of that
analogy. It's a little bit of wrestling.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of pro wrestling. I like it.
I don't mind it because I don't put any. I don't attach any serious level of anything to it.
Yeah,
it's just what it is.
No, it's fine.
But I can see if you are Ben Stiller or Timothy Chalamet, how it does get a little bothersome, that people are like criticizing you for caring about your favorite basketball team, or criticizing you for being famous or living in New York City. Like, do you realize before Timothy Chalamet was famous, an actor dating Kylie Jenner and winning awards, do you know what he was? He was just a kid growing up in New York City caring deeply about the New York Knicks. Like, my little guys are growing up caring deeply about the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
That's who Timothy Chalamet was. He wasn't famous. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't sitting courtside. He was just a kid growing up in New York who loved the Knicks. So why does he need to apologize for still loving the Knicks? Like, you see Timothy Chalamet now, and people are like, oh, there they are, all the celebs. Well, he just happened to become a celebrity because he's immensely talented and focused and a hard worker. So now he's a celebrity. But at his core, he's just a Knicks fan. Like, he's just on Knicks message boards and stuff. Like, if there was Knicks City media, he'd be watching our show right now, probably. Do you realize, because Wally Zerbiak, you walk around Madison Square Garden with him, and you see all the stars, like, there's Ben Stiller, there's Timothy Chalamet, there's Tracy Moore. They all are like, what's up, Wally? They all know Wally. You want to know why? Because they sit at home and watch Knicks games, and Wally's on TV. Just like Justin Timberlake, I'm certain, knows Chris Vernon, because he turns on Grizzlies games pregame, and there's Vernon. Like, I know all the guys on the Mets pregame shows and postgame shows because you watch them every night. So that's who Chalamet is, just a guy who loves the Knicks. And now he's just like, this has never really happened in his life to have this type of moment. And now he's just enjoying it. And he's literally traveling with the team and soaking it all in. And he's out in the streets of Manhattan kicking it with Knicks fans. And I find it all, I love it. As opposed to, oh, there's the celebs again.
I think it was all in good fun.
I understand when just like somebody who didn't grow up in New York doesn't care about the Knicks and suddenly they're courtside at Knicks games just being famous. I get that. That's not who these guys are, though. Spike Lee he's about that life.
Yep.
Chalamet's about the life, and Ben Stiller's about the life. I don't want to ridicule them just because they happen to be so talented that they got famous. They live in New York. That's where a lot of famous people live. A lot of successful people live. They got famous, but you shouldn't have to sacrifice your Knicks fandom at the door just because you're famous. Do you realize I have, like them, traveled to Mets games in the playoffs, road games, before, because I want to see the thing that I've cared about my whole life on this stage in person. I've done that. Imagine somebody goes, you're not a real fan. What? Like I've been caring about this my whole life. And this is just what I want. This is where I want to be tonight, right here. And if I were Ben Stiller, I would also think it was weird. That's what I'm trying to say. I'd be like, I'm just here and I'm trying to enjoy your city and I'm being very respectful of your team and I'm having a blast. And now suddenly this wrestling commentator's got a microphone. He's yelling at me in the middle of the arena. It was all fun and we probably already spent too much time on it. But when I see Timothée Chalamet and Ben Stiller at the very least, I don't look at them as like big city celebs jumping on a bandwagon. I look at them as when they were 7 years old, they dreamed about this moment. And now they have the resources and the private planes to see it all in person, so they're doing it. I'm happy for them.
Me too.
I hope they win tonight.
Number 3.
All right, we got a wild story, Bennett. You sent this one to me.
What's going on?
You tell me what's going on, because I watched the video, and I think the gist of it is I hope Kyra's got it queued up. If so, maybe we'll just let this woman tell her own story. But the gist...
Yeah, it's almost too hard to believe unless you just hear it from her.
We might need to just hear it from her. So, Kyra, if we have this woman's story, it's a little more than 60 seconds or so, a little more than a minute. This woman jumped on social media and decided to tell her story. She's been dealing... I'll set it up for you, I think. She's been dealing with a sinus infection for what she has labeled 7 years. It's a 7-year sinus infection she's been dealing with, and they can't quite figure out what caused it or why they can't fix it. And, well, I'll let her take it from here.
I think.
Oh, we don't.
Oh, we don't have her. Okay.
So, I'll do my best to fill in then. She goes on to explain that she had a boyfriend several years ago, at least 7, and she was recovering from surgery. And her boyfriend, as she explains it, delivers the worst fart she's ever experienced. She'd never felt a fart like this before. She'd never smelt a fart like this before. She'd never seen this before or after. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type fart right into her face as she's recovering from surgery. And as she explains it, this fart has created a sinus infection that it will not go away. Her ex-boyfriend farting in her face has created serious medical concerns for this young woman. I never heard anything like this before.
And the thing is, like, if you watch the video, she's clearly like, I think you can tell she's got like a sinus infection or something. Like her nose is really red. Like I think she's got something going on.
You ever fart in your wife's face?
I don't think I've in her face.
You ever executed a good Dutch oven?
Yeah.
I like a good Dutch oven one. Back, when I was younger.
Yeah. When I first saw this, I was like, this is total BS. But then I heard the lady talk, and
it seems legitimate.
And I was like,
she has serious.
It's like she is suffering from some kind of like.
She has a real medical concern that is caused by a fart to the face.
Yeah. You wouldn't go on TikTok and say that if it wasn't true.
Talk to me about the progression in a relationship, Bennett. When do you get to a moment where you're just comfortable farting in front of your girlfriend or boyfriend? When does that happen? Could you have on the first date just ripped one in front of your wife?
Probably not. It'd be a little nervous to do that.
But you could do it tonight.
Yeah.
When does that change?
I think once you know that you're in this for the long haul.
Have you ever just held farts in uncomfortably because you can't let one go in front of this new person you're hanging out with?
Yes.
Why do we do that?
Oh, because you don't want to.
I mean, I don't want
to turn that person off.
But here's the thing: that person's probably got a fart too. Everybody's got to fart at some point. Mm-hmm. Would it be easier just to cut a deal right from the jump and be like, "Hey, I like you and you like me,
and we both like to fart,
and we need to fart."
Yeah. And
we're gonna let it slip up every once. And you know what? I'll be cool with it if you're cool with it. Should we talk about that?
Probably not on the front end. Not on the front end.
Not a great conversation on first date. Kyra's got this woman's story. Now, let's hear. I don't want to speak for this woman. Let's let this woman tell her own. Who am I to tell another woman's story? You know? Let's let this woman tell her story.
Right. Today I realized that I think my ex-boyfriend got the best possible breakup revenge that anyone could ever get. We dated like 7 years ago. I've had a persistent sinus infection ever since he and I stayed in a hotel one night after I had surgery. And he farted terribly. Like, I couldn't breathe. I've never, ever smelled anything that even compares to that. And I got my sinus infection cultured today. I've gotten it imaged. I've had all of these tests done. Doctors haven't been able to figure it out. And it is E. coli. And usually don't get E. coli in your sinuses because E. coli is from poop. So I don't know. How does that get in your sinuses unless you have a boyfriend who farts disgustingly and you are forced to inhale it because you are immobile after ankle surgery? Oh my God.
How you can't make that up.
What a story.
You can't make that up.
What a story.
That doesn't just pop into your head. I'm going to go viral by telling this story.
You have E. coli in your head from a fart.
Uh-huh.
Ex-boyfriend.
She explained, E. coli comes from poop.
Which suggests...
It's particles. They're flying through the air and getting in your sinus cavity.
You think there were poop particles connected to this fart?
I do. It's and that's no joke, dude. This sinus stuff, and this is a little similar, when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, because that's all kind of same area, same region and stuff. And I got dry socket. Have you heard of that? Dry socket?
I'm aware that it exists.
Yeah,
I've heard that term.
Awful. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Kyra says she had it too. It's horrible. And I think it was because I got it because I might have I was in my college years and stuff. I might have had a smoke.
You were smoking. You did exactly what they told you not to do.
And I waited a week, but I think I did, and I got that man, and you're just all messed up. It's bad fever. It's bad. It's bad. I wonder. She's coming off this surgery, this sinus surgery. She got the sinus infection. Dude, I think it's real. I think this is real.
It feels real.
Yeah.
It sounds real.
And I do think it's out of bounds on the
you can't fart in your girlfriend's surgically repaired face.
That's right. Like a Dutch oven. That's funny.
Dutch oven's funny.
That's funny.
Dutch oven's great. I think you pull off a good Dutch oven every once in a while just to keep it spicy. You know,
farting around someone for a moment of levity is funny.
I hit somebody. I had an oldie but goodie the other a couple weeks ago. Tell me the last time I don't even know why I did this.
What?
It just popped into my head randomly, and then I executed it perfectly. And then I was like, I am an old man. What did I just do that for? Mm. On the golf course. Mm. Foursome. I walk over to a fella, and I just, out of nowhere, I said, pull my finger.
Wow.
And he was like, what?
I hadn't heard that in a long time.
And I executed it perfectly.
Pull my finger.
I just hit the whole group with a pull my finger on a Sunday morning.
I thought that had been retired for decades.
I brought it back.
Yeah, it sounds like
I brought back pull my finger.
Damn. I hadn't heard somebody say that in forever.
I brought back pull my finger earlier this month.
Did everyone laugh?
it was a mixture of laughter and like, what are you doing? Because just like,
I wish I would have been there. I would have laughed.
I think you would have appreciated it.
Yeah, I would have.
It was a mixture of laughter and confusion.
Yeah.
Like, did I just get hit with a pull my finger in 2025? You just don't expect. It'd be like if you saw a phone booth outside.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I didn't expect to see a phone booth today.
Mm-hmm.
You don't expect to get a pull my finger in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
But I hit him with it, boy. Pretty, and it was everything about it was perfect. All right.
I might consider legal action if I'm this woman. Those bills got to be expensive.
You would think so.
I don't know how you can prove it. It's going
to be tough to prove. Because I know what would happen if a woman said, I farted in her face, delivering E. coli and a 7-year sinus infection.
I'd say whoever smelt it dealt it.
I'd say whoever smelt it dealt it. I would hit her with whoever smelt it dealt it.
Yeah. You did this to yourself.
You did this to yourself.
Yep.
I think you farted in your own face.
Uh-huh.
And then I'd be like, you're the one who smelt it. And for as long as I can remember, whoever smelt it dealt it.
Yeah. Good on you for the pull my finger, man. That's
it felt good.
You know what?
I felt young again.
I feel like that would make my kids laugh. It's like I think I'm gonna bust that one out.
Hit Noah with
yeah.
He won't even see it coming.
No.
He'll have no idea. He'll have no idea what's coming. Hit Noah with a Can you get it on video tonight?
I'm gonna try. I think that'd be good for a laugh. I'm gonna try my best.
Let's start hitting kids with a pull my finger.
Yeah, bring it back.
Bring it back. These kids need to know. These kids need to know what used to happen when you pulled a finger.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, if you pulled a finger, you might get E. coli. All right?
Yeah.
Now kids are just walking around. They don't know nothing about pulling fingers. They don't know the dangers of finger pulling.
They know nothing about Price is Right, pull my finger.
These kids these days.
These kids are not being raised right.
They don't know nothing. These kids
We're going to change that.
We're going to change that. Anyway, let's leave it here.
Okay.
Occasional Dutch oven.
Funny.
Pull my finger.
Hilarious. I didn't die.
It's just hilarious.
Actually, it's hilarious. Yeah.
Watching an old bald man walk up just randomly hit you with a pull my finger.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to use it everywhere I go. All right.
Just when the moment's right.
Yeah. Time and place. Clearly a time and place element to this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pull my finger. Hilarious. Dutch oven. Funny.
Mm-hmm.
Disgustingly farting possibly E. coli particles into your girlfriend's surgically repaired face.
Mm-hmm.
Over the line.
Absolutely.
I think that's over the line.
Yeah, because you could damage her for the rest of her life, which is...
Or at least 7 years.
At least 7 years, which is apparently what's happened here.
I side with this woman.
I think I do too. I don't know if there's anything she can do about it. Hopefully she finds a way to get revenge one day because they're not together anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure what she could do here. I think she's just going to have to settle with this going viral.
Yeah, and like, chalk it up to lesson learned.
Yeah.
On one hand, we agree you shouldn't be farting in your girlfriend's surgically repaired face. On the other hand, maybe she should have picked up when she was dating somebody who might want to fart directly into her face. Like, you should know that about somebody before you...
Well, that's why they broke up, GP.
Before you let them in the room after you're surgically repaired, you need to know who you're in the room with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if she'd have paid a little closer attention to this fella, she'd have known what he was capable of.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know. I don't mean to blame her. I don't mean to victim blame.
Yeah.
If that came across as victim blaming, I didn't mean to do that.
No, I don't. It's fine.
I'm not victim blaming.
It's okay.
I wish her well, and I hope she gets better.
Number 4.
Mike Vrabel.
Oh, speaking of sinuses.
Mike Vrabel, he's the coach of the Patriots now.
Mm-hmm.
And his wide receiver 1.
That's right.
Is Stefon Diggs.
Yes.
And you probably saw it. He was on a yacht earlier in the week with Cardi B and a lot of women who look just like Cardi B. It looked amazing.
So that's the thing, is the video that's going viral. Like a lot of people initially were like, God, Cardi B's got to be pissed.
No, Cardi B was just right over.
She was hanging all over him.
No, she was right over here.
She was right there
with 3 other women that looked just like those 3.
That's right.
Cardi had her own women.
Yeah, she was there having fun too.
Man, you talk about a party.
That looked like a party.
Woo, buddy.
Yeah. There's bags getting passed around.
So there's a video, and he's like literally handing out what appears to be drugs.
I mean, 4K, buddy.
I mean,
what else was that?
I mean, you could try fun dip, but I don't know if he's going to get away with it.
No, I mean, I'm dead serious.
He hands it over a big bag. A big bag.
First off, the 3 women around him going, please, 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 please.
They're begging Stefon Diggs for drugs.
Begging him for something.
The whole thing's wild. Big substance, pink. Man, I'm too old to. Back when I was young, our substances were different colors than that.
Yeah, I got you.
I ain't never seen the pink one before. I don't know what's going on. But he hands, and he's like, no, don't do it all. He's like trying to tell him to be careful. It's just whatever. So Mike Vrabel finally yesterday has to talk about it. And they're like, so, Coach? He's like, we're aware of the situation. And we would prefer our players.
Mike Vrabel was an NFL player once.
We would prefer our players make good decisions both on and off the field. And, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Well, but then he doesn't show up at OTAs. And I will say there was this video a few years ago when Diggs was with Buffalo or
Vikings.
Vikings, I'm sorry. And they were going around the locker room. It was the Vikings locker room. And they were like, if you had a sister, of all the teammates, who is the person you would least want them to date? All right? And I'm talking about two-way player. Offensive players, defensive players, special teams players. They all said Stefon Diggs. Every one of them. They were like, if you had a sister and she was going to date one of your teammates, who is the one you would definitely 100% say stay away from? They were like, oh, Diggs. Oh, Stefon Diggs. Oh, it's Diggs. They all said Diggs. And then here he is. This is who he is. All right? So I don't know how much to make of it because I do think there's a difference between these two things. There are people who have drug problems. And then there are people who are just having a party on a boat. Mm-hmm. Which one of those is he?
Oh, I think he knows how to party.
I think he knows how to party.
He knows how to party, yeah.
I think he knows how to have a good time and then go play football.
He knows how other people like to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm just way wrong on this.
Mm-hmm.
I watch that video and I go, it looks like a guy who's just having a party on a boat.
Yeah.
He'll be all right. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
I bet he's not the first NFL player or MLB player or MLS player, you name it, that doesn't necessarily have a drug problem, but they can get down every once in a while.
Yeah.
Get down and have a good time every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right? So if I were a Patriots fan, I don't even know how bothered I'd be with that other than similar to the things we've said about other professional athletes who pop up on Instagram and videos that aren't great. Just like, can you just keep it off Instagram? Mm-hmm. All right? Like, have your little boat party with Cardi B and all the other little girls that look just like Cardi B.
Can we make sure this isn't captured in 4K?
But can we keep the Can we keep the powder substances off
put
Instagram?
Put the bags like under the table.
Let's put the bags, I don't know how exactly you do it, but maybe just leave the bag in the bathroom, and when everybody needs it, it'll just be there in the bathroom for them. Close the door behind you. Make sure to lock it.
Yeah.
There's better ways to do this, but I'm willing to let it play out.
Number 5.
Congrats to Charlie Woods, 16-year-old son of Tiger Woods.
I didn't know this.
He won a big tournament yesterday. It was his first AGGA Invitational event. It was down in Florida. It featured 3 top 10 players in his age group in the country, including the number 1 ranked 16-year-old in the country. So this is where I should probably tell you. Charlie Woods is the most famous 16-year-old golfer in the country. Mm-hmm. He's not the best. He's not even close to the best. Do you know where he was ranked among 16-year-olds heading into this tournament? Charlie Woods, Tiger's son.
Top 30.
606th.
Wow.
Okay? He would kill you and he would kill me.
Yeah.
But among the other elite 16-year-old golfers in the world, he's not one of the best. And he went out and won the tournament.
Okay, this is I'm about to like show how dumb I am when it comes to this stuff. How when you qualify for the like PGA tour, which is what all these guys are trying to do eventually, is there like an age? I'm sure there's got to be a certain age threshold.
You know what? I'm not actually sure of that. But you're not going to get like 15-year-olds and 16. I know. Right. I know. Like it was on the LPGA tour, famously. Like you would get a Michelle Wie once upon a time.
Yeah.
And you would get teenagers. So I don't.
But how do you do it? Like, how do you qualify for the PGA?
Google it.
Yeah, okay.
there's a million different processes, and it's a process. Live, they can just offer you a contract, like they're a NFL team. They just say, here's a contract.
Yeah.
PGA Tour, it's more complicated. There's paths to it. But my larger point is that though we are all familiar with Charlie Woods, the idea that he's just walking around as one of the best teenage golfers in the world, that's just not true.
Gotcha.
It has not been true. But he beat the top-ranked 16-year-old in the world in this tournament. He beat 3 top 10 players, 16-year-old in this country, 3 top 10 players in this country in his age bracket. He beat them this week to win this tournament. It's a big deal.
Oh, dude, you know the PGA Tour is just like...
They would kill for Charlie Woods.
Please let him be awesome. Keep winning these.
Please let him get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what you would have, you know what you'd likely have? You'd have Charlie Woods on the golf course, and you know who'd be like on the ropes walking around with him? His dad.
Yeah.
His dad. There is a scenario where one day we watch Charlie Woods play on the PGA Tour, and the cameras go to the gallery, and there's Tiger watching his son. Like that's a. And wouldn't it be unbelievable? We have the visuals of Tiger Woods hugging Charlie
at the Masters, yeah.
And then if you could get that in reverse someday, Charlie hugging Tiger after winning the Masters.
Dang.
I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. That'd be the sweetest thing.
Be cool.
I don't know if we'll ever get it. He is ranked 606 in the 606 in the Rolex AGGA rankings, but he beat everybody this week. Congratulations. Job well done. Be back in a second.
Catch us if you can at Southland Casino Hotel and win your share of up to $1.8 million in free play and prizes. Join us for drawings every Saturday in May, June, and July. Each month, over 900 winners will take home free play or drive off in a new car or motorcycle. Be there for all 6 grand finale drawings and try to catch us if you can, only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
You've seen the Grizzline jamming on the court and rocking out on Beale Street, and this is your chance to join the best drumline in the NBA. Grizzline entertains Grizz Nation at home games and events in the Mid-South through their impressive techniques and energetic shows. If you have experience in drumming and marching and love entertaining, Grizzline is the perfect opportunity for you to combine percussion and performance. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Sign up today by visiting grizzlies.com/auditions.
1, 2, 3. Ready, go.
Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit Shinedown.com.
Parrish Show presented by OrthoSouth. I don't know why I think I got to talk every minute available to me every single day.
Yeah, you on a roll.
Like, this is not even good for me. Like, I've got to do CBS Sports HQ in an hour. Like, I got to get home and throw on a tie. Like, I needed to just shut up and get out of here. But
we had some interesting stories today.
I mean, can't just talk about a Dutch oven and just breeze right through it. You got to settle in there and discuss.
Elaborate a little
you got to elaborate a little bit. So here we are again, running up against it. Let's wrap it up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but I think the main thing at least that I want you to take away from this, Bennett, is that a well-executed pull my finger still works.
Which I just did not know. I mean, I probably haven't heard pull my finger in a decade, and now I'm anxious to try it out again.
Why do you think that popped into my head all of a sudden?
I don't know.
I had not even thought about executing a pull my finger in 20 years. It's been 20 years since I properly executed a pull my finger. And I just walked into it real confidently.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know where that came from.
And if the way I remember it is, even when I gave everybody the opportunity to pull my finger, I was greeted with looks of like,
"You serious?
Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
That's the way it was met. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" And I just kept it there. And I was like, "Let's." Perfectly executed.
Nice.
It was really nice. Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Hit your son with it tonight.
I absolutely will.
Can you get it on video?
I'm going to try my best.
He won't see it coming.
No.
See, my friends, they saw it. They knew what was coming because they grew up with this. No, we don't know what a pull.
No idea.
He won't even see it coming.
No. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Wait.
I can't wait.
So excited.
What's today's biggest game?
It's game 5. Pacers Knicks.
Yeah.
We're back in New York with all the big celebs in the big city. It's all the big celebs in the big city. Back in New York, Madison Square Garden. Pacers Knicks, closeout game for Indiana. Elimination game for the Knicks. 7 o'clock TNT. Knicks minus 4.5. Total 222.5. Karl Anthony Towns status up in the air. How you going to act?
I'll take the Knicks.
Just because we won another game.
Yeah, and I think that this series, it's obviously the Pacers are up 3-1. I still think this series is a little bit tighter than the record shows, as opposed to that other series that we talked about today. Yeah, so give me the Knicks. I think they win easily and take it back to Indiana,
and then get blown out.
That's right, because it's one of those situations, we've seen this before, where if the Pacers are down double digits, fourth quarter, I think you probably just say, okay, let's go back to Indy and do this in front of the fans.
Not when you got the Halliban.
Right.
The Halliban.
It's a good nickname.
I like it.
It's a good nickname. It is.
The Halliburton stuff's funny.
Oh, yeah.
The Halliban. They said the Halliban.
It's so good.
Has hit New York City.
Wow.
The Halliban has hit New York City.
A little aggressive.
Woo! That's what they said. I want to be clear. I didn't say that.
Right.
That's what they said. The internet. That's what the internet's saying. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I got you.
That's what the internet is saying. I'm just quoting the internet to you. Bennett said take the Knicks minus 4.5.
What are we watching on TV?
The season finale of Hacks has dropped on Max. Remind me, do you watch Hacks?
I don't, but it's one that it's on the list.
It needs to be on the list. You should start it. I have never told somebody, you should watch Hacks. And they go, I can't believe you made me watch that. It was terrible. It's good.
Okay.
It's really good. Season 4, episode 10 is now available on the Max app. It, of course, stars Gene Smart and Hannah Ironbinder. And it's just good. And it's already been renewed for season 5. So it's coming back. It's not like, well, it's over now. I guess I don't need to watch it. There will be a season 5 someday.
Okay.
And season 4 is now completely in the books. I haven't watched it yet, but I have enjoyed season 4 up until this point. I plan to get to it at some point today. You can watch it whenever you want. Hacks, season 4 finale on the Max app right now.
What's the best thing we've read?
I updated the top 25 and 1 after the LeBaron Philon news and moved Alabama up to number 14 in the top 25 and 1. That was a 10-spot jump based on the 6'4" guard, double-digit score, returning to Tuscaloosa. So Nate Oates going to have an SEC contender again. St. John's remains number 1 in version 15 of the top 25 and 1. Based on the return of Zubi Ejiofor and the best transfer portal class in the country. You can read all that. It's available right now, cbssports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow will be Friday. Jessica Benson will join me. Will she?
Yeah, I think she'll be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jessica Benson is expected to be here.
I believe she had some issues this morning.
Well,
I don't know if I want to disclose, but she posted if you care to go look.
What if she got caught with a Dutch oven?
Oh, and she's just like out. Maybe she got a bad sinus infection.
I would bet my life that Chris has Dutch ovened her before.
Oh, there's no question. He probably did yesterday.
Chris strikes me as
yes, he's mastered it. There's no doubt in my mind.
If there is one thing I'm sure of in this world, it's that Chris Luther has mastered a Dutch oven.
Yes.
I'm confident of that.
Me too.
So she could have got, regardless of what she says, just don't rule out the possibility of a Dutch oven gone wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I expect to talk to Jessica Benson tomorrow. We'll look back, among other things, at Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. We're going to meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.